Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This comes from Michael Lynch. I saw an article on the Direct that says Marvel isn't allowed to make movies with new actors portraying mutants until 2025 due to contracts made with previous actors. I was wondering if this is true, and if so, when do you think realistically we can expect to see new actors portray the X-Men? Thanks, and bring on the filthy.
All right, one of the things coming out of Comic-Con that a lot of people were surprised about, a lot of people were hoping to hear X-Men announcements. And of course, they never really did anything outside of projects that we already knew were coming. They really didn't make any new announcements. So they didn't announce no cast for Fantastic Four. They didn't announce a brand new X-Men project. They didn't do any of that kind of stuff. And that surprised some people. It really shouldn't, considering where they're at right now. And maybe they will at D23. But there is a report going around that the Direct is quoting here, saying that the reason there's no new X-Men right now is because of existing contracts with the actors from the previous iteration of the franchise. This comes to us from the folks over the Direct who write the following. According to Cinema Sangha, the reason why Mutants weren't announced at Marvel's Hall H panel is that Marvel Studios can't make their X-Men movie until at least 2025 due to the contractual situation with the original Fox stuff. Despite the introduction of mutants at the end of Ms. Marvel, there's no mutants in Phase 5, and I know why. I know why there's no mutants. I know why this is going to take a while. There might be individual mutants. There might be other characters in that show that show a certain interest. The reason why is that the contractual situation with the original Fox stuff will be in effect until 2025. So if they don't want to use those actors, then they have to wait until that contract all expires. That, again, is being quoted out of the Direct. All right. So the basic notion here is that, let's just say James McAvoy. The proposal here is that James McAvoy has a contract that says he is Charles Xavier until 2025. It is possible that that could be the case. However, I find it very unlikely. Let's go back to the situation with the first Iron Man movie. And I always freeze on the great actor's name who played Rhodey in the first one.
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard, thank you.
Terrence Howard, thanks.
Did you see Terrence
I
Malick?
did. I was like,
All right. I love it.
right at all.
So Terrence Howard,
Awesome.
this is just an example, okay? And this is how it works 99.9% of the time. Terrence Howard did have a multi-film deal to play that character. However, all these multi-film deals, we've explained this a lot on the show. When you hear an actor signed a 10-film contract, right? All that means is that if the studio wants the actor to play in 10 films, the actor is now obligated to play in 10 films. What it does not mean is that the studio is obligated to use them. So here's an example. Let's say I'm a studio, right? And I've got the Pickle My Foot franchise going. And Rob is not only the writer and director, he's the star. Okay,
It's your foot?
It's your foot. Actually, no, let's say Chris. Like Chris is the star of Pickle My Foot.
Recast.
Oh,
Yeah, because
man.
I'm the mad person who pickles
Yes,
people's
you're the director
feet.
and everything
Oh,
like that,
okay.
right?
I'm the villain.
Stay out of my DMs.
She plays the villain in the movies Villaina of the Pickle My Foot franchise. Villaina is a wonderful three-dimensional character. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, thanks for writing it.
And so we were so excited to get her signed up that we signed her to a 5-film deal because, of course, everybody knows Pickle My Foot is a 5-book epic. So we signed Chris to a 5-film deal.
Woo-woo.
But after we do the first film, we decide, you know what? She's just not villaina enough for us.
Oh man, story of my life.
And we decide that we need to go in a different direction. We are free to do that. Now, if we want to keep using Chris, she's obligated because of the 5-film contract to come in and play that role 4 more times.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still free to either not make the movies or we're free to recast it. We've seen that happen many times.
Yep.
And even sometimes a studio, when they have a character, an actor under contract, they will sometimes let them go if they don't really want to do it. Like Hugo Weaving was under contract to play Red Skull a number of times, but Hugo Weaving hated playing the character. And so Marvel was like, you hated it. We're not going to make you do it. So they let him out of it. But again, they would have been free to recast that. So while it is possible that when negotiating the old X-Men films that had the new class cast, that they totally change directions and put verbiage in the contract that says, we promise you we will never use any other actors to play these roles except you until 2025. That is possible. It is highly unlikely, though. So while it is very possible we won't see any X-Men till like 2025 or 2026, that's totally reasonable. While I will not say it's impossible, I have a hard time believing it's because James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence have contracts to say you're not allowed to do anything with those characters unless I'm the one playing it. I'll be honest with you, Rob, I've never heard of such a thing outside of Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. I've never heard of that. Hey guys, we want to take a second and thank the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. In the age of social media, you might think that everybody's life except yours is perfect because everybody always posts the best memories, the most glamorous shots. But you and I both know that's not how life is. We get pitched some serious curveballs, and sometimes it seems like a lot of them. And we always encourage each other to get out there and to get into better physical health, going to the gym and eating right. But it's about time we started paying more attention to our mental health as well. And that's where our friends at BetterHelp come in. Because see, BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. You can log onto your account anytime and send private messages to your therapist, or you can schedule weekly or phone-only sessions if you're one of those people that's not really comfortable being on camera. And getting therapy every week is as easy as just a few clicks on your laptop or phone. It is time to invest in your own mental health, and BetterHelp is a great way to invest in yourself. And right now, they have a special offer for all of the John Campea Show listeners to get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/Campea. So, Rob, you hear about this. You've been on both sides of this. What do you think of this report?
I think it's a little sketchy, to be honest. However, if you think about, I could see them have, when they made Dark Phoenix, I think they could have had new contracts. I know Jennifer Lawrence wanted out. She didn't want to play.
Yeah, so we can take her out of that equation. Yeah.
But I think a lot of the characters might have signed up to do 3 more movies beyond Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix didn't work out, but I could see some kind of on, maybe not for everybody, but certain characters, like main characters, like Sophie Turner, Jonas, they could have had some kind of a 3-picture deal through a certain amount of time, and they might have had certain contracts with people based on a number of films, and I could see them having to pay off the actors if they wanted to replace them somehow. Or
have you ever heard of such a contract in the comic book genre before?
Well, no, but I mean, they might have made, in order to make Dark Phoenix, which is like it was supposed to be the beginning of another set of movies, they even wanted to do 2 movies, and split them up. So there could have been some kind of contractual shenanigans there. I don't know what, but because there was already a lot of X-Men movies, if somebody wanted to start a new cycle, like for a trilogy, I could see them. 2025 seems a long from the time X-Men Dark Phoenix was made, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility based on the way the comic book franchises are going. Like Sam Jackson has a 9-picture deal to play Nick Fury in 9 different movies. Right. And they use them. I could see that happening.
But Disney's not obligated to actually fulfill those 9 films.
No, right? They're not. But because this came from Fox and it was a different studio, Disney's like, you know what? Rather than get into some contractual mess, we're just going to let it all fade away until those contracts run out. Because then they're in a position where they have to, these were done on a different studio regime. So I could say they're shenanigans that we're not privy to. So I think the fact that the acquisition of Fox, that makes me think that some weirdness could be there. And Disney's like, you know what, we're just not going to deal with it. We're just going to let the contracts run out.
Chris, I have never heard of such a thing happening in a comic book genre before in any studio. As a performer yourself, have you ever had like a contract where the production company was obligated to use you moving forward? Has that been a
No, I've had options, and we've had the discussion of, should you move forward with me again? This is the increase in pay I'll receive, all of this stuff. My manager, Alex, he's a great guy. He would love one of these contracts, though. Oh, my gosh. These people are fantastic managers if this is what's happening. I will say, though, too, 2025 is not that far away. And when you look at how stacked these next phases are, I mean, I don't think that timeline is really that crazy, right? Because we've got a lot of other movies to get through before we maybe have a full-on X-Men film. That also means we don't have to have these specific mutants if this is the verbiage, there's always a workaround.
Yeah, they could. Yeah,
You could use different folks. You could have different mutants in there.
Right, but you need to have Wolverine, and you need to have Professor Xavier, and you
I
need
would
to have
I would argue we
Magneto,
could have a
right?
break from Jean Grey.
yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I would like a break from her.
yeah, that
I would
wouldn't
like
be
a break
bad.
from Cyclops.
You know what's really interesting, John, is we learn more about this and we see more of how Phase 5 and 6 are shaking out. It makes a lot of sense to me that because all of the Avengers, we're going to go from 2008 to 2025 before we get the Avengers. All that stuff is old hat. What's going to sustain Marvel for another 10 years? Mutants. The mutants are a whole different universe with a whole different set of people and a whole different set of villains where they could do all kinds of things that are not part of this. So I could see here's a way to keep Marvel vibrant for another decade and a half. Because, I mean, I'm sure they'll bring the mutants to the Earth somehow, but if you're doing Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, after Secret Wars, there's a lot of places you could go, and you've got, I mean, the mutants alone, there's so many characters in the X-Men. That's an interesting way Marvel's preserving their longevity.
All right, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? That maybe the reason we're not getting X-Men until much later on is because there was contracts saying you have to use those actors. I've never heard of that, but it's possible. Maybe just Kevin Feige wasn't planning on using them until then anyway, because he always said he's always had his plan for this already. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and leave those thoughts there.